Right, I will finish this head today, and the first thing that's going to be on the to-do list is getting these valve stems out. Now, luckily most of the exhaust ones crumbled when we actually dealt with the head the first time round. However, we'll need to get the inlet stems out, so that's going to be step one. After that, you can see I've bathed my new Viton seals ready to go back in. That'll just be an 11mm socket, chap chap chap, nice and gentle. Probably going to use the valve as well just to kind of guide it on, and then after that, look to assemble everything else up. It's going to be a long day. Right, so this is the most footery part of the whole build, and I'm going to guess if you've watched up until now, you're going to see that's a bit of a bold claim, but this is putting the valve springs back in. Now I can be forgiven for doing the first 6 as a practice run, so this is the last 6 in the inlet valve side. So as you can see, we have put in our little valve spring cup that sits in the bottom and locates it in place. You might wonder how we didn't kind of touch these before. That's because I had to fish them out the bottom of a wash tank when we originally washed down the head. I forgot all about them, and when we did the wash they just luckily hit the sump and didn't all vanish, but full 24 there. So I've stuck 6 in already for the rest of these. Now we need to look at the valve assembly before it goes in. So this is valve 6 here, put it there. Valve 5 done, we'll put that away for the moment. Remember, we stripped all these out. What we're going to need is the valve spring. Now remember, the compressed part goes to the bottom, as we said before. And then on top of that, we're going to put top seat for the valve spring. That goes on there. We'll clean these down in a wee second, don't worry. And the last part we need is the 2 collets. So we'll clean these down, and obviously we give them a bit of lube when they go in. Shouldn't really be putting any engine component in dry at this stage. It's all got to be lubricated because it will always be lubricated. Therefore, give it lube from the start. What we're doing is just cleaning off any potential schmutz. This is gathered since being stripped out the engine and sat up in the wall behind me. That all looks nice and clean. Valve seat thing sits in the top. Remember, all the compressy stuff in the bottom. That will drop in here like so. Once it's lubed, then we get this spring compressor on it and give it a right good tightened in. Come catch me, babe. So, spring's now compressed, we're ready to drop the collets in. And this is the part that you really love to hate. Really footery, horrible nonsense, because nobody over the age of 4 years old will have fingers small enough to just drop these in place. Okay now, dig in. What I tend to do, which might be right, maybe not, get some grease and just finger in a light smearing of grease into the crescent, like that. Drop it on top of the valve, rest it in place. Now with a fine screwdriver, guide it into the groove, and then repeat the process with the second one. That's near enough where it needs to be. Now, I'll try and get this in camera as best I can, apologies. Now you'll see there's obviously a bit of a gap, that's because it's not fully compressed. But that is sitting on the groove and ready to go. The last step, oh so everly gently, back off the compressor. Now I've done this a few times, and it helps if you actually hold this part, because when I've been backing it off, that has a tendency to rotate. Now if that rotates, it's spinning the spring top and the collets, which can kind of make them unseat. Nice and gently, bring it up, let it compress and grip the collet. Give it a wee shake, just about to the point where it's wanting to seat, just to get the grooves of the collet to dig in, just like that, and then bring it all the way out. That has been my morning. Now you can guess what my afternoon is going to be. Yeah, more time lapse. I'm not putting you through that. temperature has dropped considerably over the past 4 hours. However, we have put every single one of these valve springs back in, apart from one. Now, remember earlier on when I said I'd dug out all of those spring retaining washers at the bottom of a parts washer? Yeah, all 23 of them, clearly, because there's one missing. So, I've had a quick look on eBay, no dice, so we are either going to have to go to some specialist supplier, or I honestly don't know, because this isn't exactly an upgradable part. It's either there or it's not, so they don't break either, therefore aftermarket support's probably going to be pretty slim. And this is a 1JZ, never sold commercially in the UK, so I can't see Toyota actually even having them. Mint. However, I sussed this out pretty early on the exhaust phase when I dropped all of them in and I realised there was one missing. So I knew we never had compression issues on cylinder 1, therefore cylinder 1 is the one that I've left this off of. So what I'm going to do now is flip this guy over and do a quick, well, leak down test, I think we can call this. Really what I'm wanting to do is make sure that all of these valves that I've lapped are actually seating. So the simple way to do that is to flip this upside down, stick the spark plugs in, something that I should have done before I flipped it upside down, and then I can fill up these chambers with some form of like non-evaporatable but quite thin fluid, something like antifreeze potentially, and just to see in the ports if I start getting a drip through, that'll mean that I've not got a good seat on the valve. I'm kind of hoping this won't be a problem, but I'm going to check it anyway because easier to find this out now than put the head on and still not have compression. So next step, get the spark plugs in, fill these up, see what happens. So, I thought this would be a good example of showing how the process works. Remember, we've not actually pressed in exhaust valve 2, so there's your clear leak from the exhaust. So I'm not going to get too hung up on that. Obviously that's maybe 1, but it's obviously definitely going to be number 2. However, hello, you are not supposed to be doing that. Number 4, we have got an offending item here between one of these two valves. So we'll need to have a wee check on that. As for the rest, we are 5 and 6 bone dry. Right, okay, well we know we've got an issue in 4, that's why we do this. Let's go and check these guys. Can't imagine there's going to be significant problems with the inlet. Dry, 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 and dry. So, right. Well, from all of that, I've only got one issue, which is on number 4. I just need to work out which one of these two valves is causing the problem. And behold, and clearly indicated trail of green. And that's coming from only one of the two. It's that guy. So our offender, I'll mark with Tipp-Ex, is this valve here. Cool. Well, it's really not cool, but it's good. This is why we do these things. Now, we've identified a quite clear and present issue, which we can take one valve. It's not the end of the day taking one valve back out again. Sure, it's a pain in the arse, but it means we can dig in, find out why it's done it, rectify the issue, and know thereafter that all of these are seating the way they should do. Now I need to dry all this off again, don't I? Right, so a wee bit of time has passed here and I've just been sitting licking my sorrow and misery and wounds that I've got to do this one valve again. However, something has occurred to me. Take a very close look at this. Our offending valve, if you look very closely, I'm going to get a torch on it. See those white marks around about it? That's Tipp-Ex. I think I might have Tipp-Ex'd up that just to see if I'd lapped it correctly. And I've not wiped the Tipp-Ex off. So the question I have is, do I roll the dice, burn the Tipex off and hope it just sorts itself out? Or do we take it out and go through all the hassle just to clean Tipex off and retest it? Yeah, you're right, we take it out, we check it. I would still, all the same, leave this for a good wee while, just in case any wee dribbles come out of any other valves. This is why we do it. I want to check everything else, but on the whole, I'm pretty pleased. That's almost 23 out of 24 valves. We don't have a correct, term on 2 yet because I've not got the bastard built up, but I'm quite happy with that. For what's been the first in a very long time of head building, we seem to have success. It's been 24 hours, I take it back. I thought I was getting away with just one. Follow the white dots. That one's guff. That one we knew was guff. That one and that one's guff. And that one's guff. As you can see, we have got little trails of green.
That's great, Ray. Save some for me.
Obviously, it's not the worst. It's not an amazingly large amount of fluid coming out in 24 hours. But the point is, there's a leak. So if there's a leak of fluid, there'll be a leak of pressure. Therefore, out they all come. More montage.
When you come into my mind, I lose track of time. And I dream the dream of you running into my arms. The sun is waiting for the moon, like I wait all day for you. When I see your eyes full of stars, I know.
So we've basically added 24 hours onto my build here because of 5 valves that didn't actually seat and seal. So we've done the lapping job again. I couldn't see any obvious signs of why it hadn't sealed, so they've all been given a course and a fine lap, and hopefully that will deal with it. So next up, we are going to fill all these up with the screen wash again, and hopefully there'll be no green coming out the other end.
This is the best part, this is the best part, this is the best part, this is the best part. Oh, oh, when you do my heart. This is the best part, this is the best part.
Boys, I think we've got a winner. I've sat this for, an hour now, and there has been nary a drip coming off it. So, having shone the torch, and this is, by the way, impossible to catch. No real evidence of drips coming down the stems either. So, man, this is looking good. Which is something I'm very glad about, because my good God, I am done taking valves out. It's dry, which means it's sealed, which means we can move on to the next thing. And that means the cams need to go in. Footnote, yes, this valve needs its wee cup. I'll deal with that. I will do all this off camera. I will check it's all up to the spec of the other 5. But you guys don't care, so let's move on to the cam thing. Oh, I love this bit. Big on shite. That's actually a fair point. While I'm sitting here waiting for this leak down test, should clear out some of the old crap from this bench. Starting with these old head bolts, so that I'm definitely not tempted to put them back on. Don't know whether to bin these pistons and rods. I feel like, they're 1JZ pistons and rods, they've got to be worth something. But, what and to who, I don't know.
It's what you do to me. 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 It's music for my life.
So this is the intake. I'm looking for 0.15 to 0.25 of clearance on this. And yes, obviously following the last tobacco, the pistons, I've verified this is definitely the intake. So what we need to do is with the feeler gauges, find every single cam lobe that is off cam. So cylinder 1 in this instance is a prime example, as it is 180 degrees away from the lifter. And we just need to check the clearances between each lifter and the bottom of that. Pray that it's in those tolerances, because I don't actually have any shims for the buckets. And then carry on. Let's see how this pans out. Not fucking well, I bet. The head's built, the clearances are fine, inlet and exhaust perfect, got my wee valve in, we're good. Now, I know engine builders are going to be, well, you really should do this again on the engine, and we will. When you put the head on the engine, it's torqued down, it might sit slightly different. You could have gaps here that you didn't normally have. So once we take the cams back out, which I'll need to do to get the head bolts in, we'll then get them back in and double check them. But for now, I'm really confident and really happy. That is all the head work we need to do. In the next episode, this goes on the block and we build the engine up, hopefully completed and then ready to go in the car. So for the moment, I'm going to wrap up. Thanks everyone for watching. We're getting there. It's so close to being good. So I am really quite psyched here that we're making progress again. If you just found this, like, subscribe, bell, do all the YouTube stuff that everyone tells you to do. If you want to help a bit more than that, and it's always welcome, because you don't see ads here because I run Patreon. Patreon helps me just get everything on this channel happening, so everyone who's running up the side of the screen right now is one of those people that supports this. Massive thanks to you. Patreon.com/toolsandtrack if you want to be one of those awesome people running up the side of the screen. And that's about me. So until next week, guys, drive safe.